The truths about older men who live alone without a woman that everyone should know. This may be controversial, but the reality of older men living alone is rarely discussed honestly. Society often paints a one-sided picture. Either the lonely, fragile man wasting away without companionship, or the free, independent bachelor who thrives without commitments. But what if the truth is far more complicated, both empowering and concerning at the same time? Today, we're diving deep into what life really looks like for older men who live alone without a woman, and the surprising truths that everyone should know. Around the world, millions of older men find themselves living alone, whether by choice, circumstance, or loss. Some never married, some divorced, and others became widowers. The numbers are growing, according to studies. Men over 60 are twice as likely to live alone today compared to previous generations. But this independence comes with unique challenges and unexpected strengths. Living alone can highlight resilience, but it can also expose vulnerabilities in health, social life, and mental well-being. We need to understand these truths, not just to sympathize, but to recognize patterns that can help families, communities, and even younger generations prepare for what's ahead. Let's start with the obvious: loneliness. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that older men who live alone are at greater risk of social isolation than women in the same position. Why? Women are more likely to maintain strong social networks, while men often tie most of their connections to work, marriage, or family roles. When those fade, men can find themselves suddenly cut off. This isolation isn't just emotional. It's linked to higher risks of dementia, heart disease, and even premature death. At the same time, men who live without a partner often neglect self-care. Statistics show they're less likely to visit doctors, less likely to eat balanced meals, and more likely to engage in habits like heavy drinking. On the surface, it looks bleak. But here's the paradox. Not all men who live alone suffer. Some thrive, discovering independence, peace, and self-mastery in ways they never had while married. So which version is true? The answer lies in mindset, habits, and support systems. Philosophy helps us unpack this. Think of Nietzsche's concept of the Bermensch, the individual who transcends societal expectations to create his own values and meaning. Many older men living alone embody this spirit. They may no longer depend on a woman for validation or routine. Instead, they find strength in solitude, rediscover hobbies, or build their lives around purpose rather than partnership. Psychology also reveals another side. Studies show that older men who successfully adapt to solitude often develop resilience through routines. Cooking for themselves, exercising, and staying engaged in learning. On the flip side, men who avoid these responsibilities spiral downward into apathy, depression, and physical decline. The contrast is stark. One man uses solitude as freedom. Another experiences it as a prison. Social expectations play a huge role here. Men are often taught to equate their worth with being providers or protectors. Once older and alone, many lose that sense of identity. Without intentional effort, life can feel meaningless. But those who reconstruct their purpose, through mentoring, volunteering, or pursuing creative projects, often find their later years more fulfilling than their younger ones. Here's the key truth. Living alone without a woman isn't inherently good or bad. It amplifies who you already are. If you've built resilience, independence, and curiosity, living alone can bring peace, dignity, and freedom. But if you've relied on others to manage your life, it can become a silent downfall. And let's address one more uncomfortable truth. Older men who live without a woman often face prejudice. Society still tends to pity them, calling them lonely old bachelors or miserable widowers. Yet no one questions an older woman's right to independence. This double standard reveals how little we understand about men's emotional worlds. The reality: many older men living alone aren't desperate for companionship. They've chosen solitude to avoid stress, conflict, or the burden of caring for others. In fact, some report higher happiness levels than married men their age. So what should we take away? The truth about older men who live alone is not one-dimensional. Yes, there are risks, loneliness, neglect, and health decline. But there are also strengths, freedom, self-reliance, and resilience. The outcome depends largely on mindset, social connections, and purpose. For families, this means we need to check in, not out of pity, but out of care. For younger men, it's a warning. Build habits of independence early, so solitude later in life won't destroy you. And for society, it's a call to stop labeling older men who live alone as broken, and start recognizing the diverse ways they shape meaningful lives. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think older men who live alone are happier without the stress of marriage, or are they silently suffering behind closed doors? Have you seen examples in your own family or community? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this conversation opened your eyes, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who needs to rethink what it really means to grow old alone.